A running record is a type of formative assessment that teachers can use to monitor and track their students' progress over the course of a designated period of time. And each running record can be different depending on how the teacher feels that they would like to use it. So in this instance for me, I plan to teach special ed, most likely elementary special ed. And so I chose this running record. You can kind of see it, but it has like all the student information. And then for like this specific one, it's over communication, which is a part of this student's IEP goal. And so on this, it lists like the general IEP goal and then all of the objectives. And so when you're going throughout the day, you can tally, you write the date, and then for this one, it's like number of conversational turns that the child accomplishes. Did they require prompts? And then did they provide a greeting and a farewell initiated, or did it have to be like initiated by somebody else? A tally of the total social, like appropriate interactions that they had, and then any of the notes that you want to add. And so for this, like with it being special ed, it's not your typical running record. Typically they're used primarily most for reading, but it still allows you to track all of the data for that child, and it's customizable. So another one for me, like if I wanted to do my IEP goal based on reading, I could use the exact same thing and just switch out the criteria, the objectives, and the goal for which this student is forming and I'm tracking on the running record. And then how I plan to incorporate this into my classroom is, as a special ed teacher, you only get a designated amount of time per day or maybe every other day with your children. And so for me, I think it's important to create a schedule so that I make sure like I'm being able to track each one of my students and be able to see their growth over the time period, and also just like provide feedback with them. If they have a really good day and they're able to complete, in this instance, multiple communications or conversations with a peer or an adult that are successful and that go through all the criteria, I need to let them know immediately. Like, you're doing a really good job. Can we shoot for this again tomorrow or the next day or whenever I might see that kid next? And it also makes sure if I have a schedule that it's not only like I'm making sure I get all my kids instead of just one kid and then other kids are kind of like being left off. And then I hope to accomplish just finding out information and seeing my students grow over the course of the time. And I think a big part of that is providing them with that feedback and giving them a little sense of like, you're doing this right, this is something we can work on, setting goals together just to kind of give you a little bit more info on how you can better provide for your students using the data that you've collected on your running record. And for me, I tend to use my iPad a lot. And so with this running record, I can write directly on it and customize it for each student, and I can just circle and then create each folder, either for the skill that I'm looking at in a group of students or just like one student folder specifically, and have all their running records for all the different things I'm looking at. And so that's going to be really helpful just as like an organizational way, or even if it's a binder or a notebook or computerized. And then I actually found this one on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's by K Creations. I spent a lot of time looking through all of the Teachers Pay Teachers options, but for me, I think this one worked the best with my style and just kind of how I tend to take notes on things. But yeah, that's my running record.